My name is Ken Lundy. I'm at Adobe. I've been at Adobe actually over 28 years and in the same department, type development. And I mainly focus on CJK or East Asian font development issues. The main project right now for CJK at Adobe, as far as I'm concerned, or what's going to be occupying my time for the next few months, is a variable font version of Source Han Sans. Yeah. I mean, not too many people hear the story. Okay, so to understand the story, you have to go back to when I was in high school. So in my senior year of high school, which is the last year, I joined the Army. Specialty in the Army that I chose was interrogator. And then all the interrogators have to learn a foreign language. So the military has a language school. And so I attended the language school, which is in California, and the language I chose was Russian. So I studied Russian for 1 year for the military. And so after I finished that, I went back to reserve duty, which means 1 weekend per month for Army. So my plan was to then enter the university. So I entered the university with the intention of getting a degree in Russian. But I discovered that to get a degree in Russian, I had to take 6 literature classes. I'm not very interested in literature. I'm interested in languages, but not literature. So I changed my plan, so I'm not going to get a degree in Russian. So I understood that I like languages. I like foreign languages. So I found out that I can get a degree in linguistics. So I changed my major to, well, I never declared a major. So I declared my major as linguistics. And one of the requirements for a linguistics degree is 1 year of a non-Indo-European language. So something that is not Indo-European. So examples of Indo-European languages would be English, French, German, even Russian. So I had to pick what most people consider to be a complex language. So it would be like, examples would be Korean, Chinese, Japanese, Arabic, Hebrew. I could take 1 year of those type of languages. So this was in 1985. So you probably weren't born yet. So during the summer of 1985, I bought introductory books for Arabic and Japanese. So I somehow decided that I'm going to study either Arabic or Japanese. And so what happened was I started going through these books, these introductory books, and I was picking up the patterns for Arabic very quickly. But I couldn't pick up the patterns for Japanese as quickly. So I figured that, okay, once I pick up the patterns for Arabic, it's just going to be mainly memorization. Kind of boring, right? So I decided to challenge myself for 1 year. So that's why I studied Japanese. So I started studying Japanese in 1985 because it was required for my degree. And I enjoyed it, so I kept on studying Japanese. And 5 years later, that's when the Middle East blew up, literally. I mean, all the wars started in the Middle East. That's when the U.S. became involved. So if I had decided to study Arabic, and because I was in the Army, I would have spent a lot of time in the Middle East. Because when that happened, anyone in the Army who knew Arabic was sent to the Middle East. But I didn't know Arabic. I knew Japanese, so I was somehow protected. So I got my undergraduate degree in 2.5 years. You know, normally it takes 4 years, but I did it in 2.5 years. I got my master's degree in 1 year, and then I entered the PhD program. And while I was in the PhD program, I started getting interested in the way Japanese is represented on a computer. So character sets and encodings. And I started writing some documentation about that. And I think it was in 1990 or early 1991, someone at Adobe started to contact me. And at some point, he asked me if I was interested in working at Adobe. And so in early 1991, Adobe sent me to California to be interviewed. And then I joined Adobe about 28 years ago, 1991. And so that's really when I started doing font development for Japanese. So that answers the question, right? So not too many people hear that story. It takes a while to say it. So the first obvious one is variable fonts. There's not too many variable fonts, for CJK in the market. And so our plans, we're going to have variable font versions of our source Han families. So that will happen. It'll take some time, especially for source Han serif. But once those are available, I think that's going to make a big difference for a lot of developers. And the other area too that we're exploring is color fonts. So we're also doing work on that. Color fonts are very special purpose. For example, we released about a year ago a new version of Tenminsho, which is a new Japanese typeface. And that includes, I think, approximately 35 color emoji. So the main use case for color fonts is for emoji. And they're used a lot in Japan, but now for example, in the United States, emoji are used a lot. They're very popular. Start using web fonts. My biggest complaint when I go to any Korean website, because I cannot type Korean. Okay, I don't know how to use the Korean keyboard. What I want to do is I want to select text on a Korean website, but it's all images. So please welcome web fonts. We build fonts for the beautiful world.
Thank you.
Sure.